Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Hyun, and I am married to Shine over there, that you may remember from 2 weeks ago. Yeah, we had a very powerful testimony. Yeah, shared. So this spring, I think, Graham came to me and said, like, "Do you want to work together, sharing some chapter in this great book?" And I was somewhat hesitant because I'm not a very born public speaker. But I've received so much in this major marriage, so I thought like, yeah, I'll try, and I'll let my future me worry about how to do it. And then I signed up, and it came upon pretty fast. So in the past month or so, yeah, I've been like, what to do here. But yeah, hopefully, God works through this and share something useful today. So yeah, I've been married 21 years with Shanae, and we have three wonderful daughters. Two are in college, and one is in high school. So almost empty nester. It's yeah how we've been married so far. Today I'm going to talk about stress. Yeah, what a joyful topic to talk about. It's still a very useful concept, apparently, in the topic of a context of managing anger, whole book. So, if you recall from the overall context that we have learned so far, we learned that anger is not necessarily bad. Do you agree with that? It's somewhat neutral, right? It shows what's happening under that inside us, which is the primary emotion. And anger is a more of a secondary emotion, like the dashboard, like the sign in the car. Something is going on under the hood. So take a look. So it means anger is a very quite useful signal. It shows something about internal of us. So it doesn't, so what it means is that we shouldn't try to like eliminate anger, right? So that was a big first chunk of the book. So anger is neutral signal. But what we are going to talk about today is a little bit seemingly contradictory. So what I'm going to say is still we want to reduce anger because sometimes we get angry for no great use. Yeah, next slide. Okay, thank you. I may need to get some help. Yeah, so we may get angry for social justice or godly anger. Those are like good anger. But to be honest, in my life, I get angry for a lot of petty things, a lot of just frustrations. So if you look at it, like sometimes we get angry about some big things like deep hurt from the past or some relational pain or some life changes, hardships that gives us a lot of difficulties, but also like small things, like some inconveniences, like some other car cutting in front of me, like we get the knee-jerk reaction, and sometimes some frustrations or some disappointments. So these are anger, but then if you get too many of this, if you think about some people around you, I don't know, you may or may not have, it can be causing unnecessary difficulties in life. And also, just as a first person, like if I get too much anger, it leaves me little energy to properly respond to those anger, thinking through, process it, like what's the secondary emotion, primary emotion, etc., etc. So the whole purpose of today and also next week, maximizing God, is how do we reduce this anger related to stress, and next week about trusting God, so that we have fewer anger situations, so that we can properly pay attention handle them in a healthy way. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, let's move on. So yeah, we'll talk about how we can minimize stress that leads to less anger. And next week is even more important. How do we maximize God's presence in our life so that in respect to that, our stresses look actually small because God is so big. I'm sure, I think Craig will be the next week's teed up for that. So please come, and it's even more topic than today's. Today we'll focus about stress. Yeah, so stress comes in many different areas and shapes, and it can be from our own loving relationship, or our home, or health issues, finance, or work. You name it, you know it, right? So it comes from many different aspects. Next slide. Thank you. So what is stress? Probably you know it, you feel it, you can identify it, but just to be on the same page. So stress is when there's some external stressor that is posing some demand for changes. And then our body responds to it. It can be biological and also some psychological responses. Next slide. Yeah. So let's talk about biological. This is kind of a situation that in the old time we have a predator, like a bear, like jumping out of the forest, and our body somehow reacts to it, like fight or flight kind of a situation. So we see the stressor, and we have this hormone kicking in, and heart rate increases because we need to run, like body's getting prepared, and breathing quickens, muscles tensing. So all this, and then either we fight or flight. Yeah. So this is a mechanism, somewhat useful, like because we don't want to be just eaten there. Yeah. So that is kind of like how it's designed. Next slide. But in the modern times, we don't see bears every day. Yeah. But we still get stressed because there's a lot of mental and psychological challenges, and they are often about like there's a demands, but I feel like I don't have everything that I have to respond to it properly. It could be financial challenges, it could be relational. Yeah, I get asked something, but I don't feel like I know how to handle it well. Yeah. So when that happens, stress kicks in. Next slide. So maybe one last before moving into so what to do. So is all stress bad? I thought about it briefly, and it's not the case. There is some like healthy stress, like where it can help us to get more motivated, and we can solve the problems well, etc. And then there's a bad stress, chronic stress. Next one. Yeah. The good stress, if it's a short term, yeah, it gives us energy, motivation, and brain works better, etc., etc. So if there's a focus, like, oh, there's deadline tomorrow, I know how to do it, I'll do it. Yeah, you get to focus, etc., etc. So there's something good. Next slide. But if you have some ongoing stress that are too much, hard to handle, like it's beyond my like healthy dose of a stress, it starts to show up in a bad way. Next slide. Yeah. So you can probably read and tell, like, yeah, stress really kills. But the second bullet on the right hand side shows that irritability, yeah, that is connecting to today's topic. Stress can make us easily angry, and it is one key area that we want to talk about today. Next slide. And a lot of people get stressed. Yeah. So our area over here, like Silicon Valley, is known for like fast pace of life, and a lot of expectation from work. So it's kind of like a little higher than these numbers, but people do go through stress, and it is not trivial issue. Yeah. Next slide. And let's skip. Yeah, we talked about this already. Next slide. Yeah. So a lot of stress so far. So what to do? So as I read the book, and there were I think some story that I wanted to share that was actually helpful for me. But the book gives us like about 6 main points that are very practical and useful for handling stress. And I was like praying and like, it felt like kind of scattered, but as I think through it, I think it boils down to basically two sides of two types of areas that we can work on. One is, so if you look at this thing, this is something that came with me when I was walking and trying to digest. I think it's kind of a bowl that is like all types of stress that we need to manage or carry. And then myself is like a jar that holds it together. So one type of the response or the handling mechanism is make those stress ball smaller or fewer by somehow changing how we look at those stressor phenomena or environments. So that's how we handle those things. And then when we look at the jar, we can also make ourselves more resilient because unfortunately we cannot control all the stress. Sometimes stressful things happen, like work happens, like relational challenges happen. But when those things happen, like we don't want to just break and then like, oh, this is bigger than I can handle. But if we can make ourselves more resilient, bigger, that can contain and handle more stresses, that is also a very effective solution for handling stress. So looks like what the book suggests fall into one of those two. So I'll talk about those two. The first is change your perspective. Like when the external challenges come in, like see how you can reduce it, minimize it. And the second part is making yourself more resilient. So let's jump into it. Next slide. So the first one is don't hurry. Yeah. So in the society as we live in today, with all the technologies, with all the like, you can do anything, everything, AI, phones, and all these things, like we get constantly bombarded by this pressure that we should get more, the faster, the better, the faster. Everything, yeah. Faster is better, more is better. Like, so there's a lot of a stress or expectation that we should move fast. And I don't know about my homes here, but in Korea, like we have a long history of moms telling our young kids, "빨리 빨리," meaning quick, quick. This goes to the pretty much next to every single sentence we tell our kids, like, "Do this quick." Eat this quick. Yeah. So there's a lot of like Korean culture around it as well. But even beyond that, I think, yeah, generally even as an adult, like as we do the work at workplace or like even I had that challenge. Like when I went to Hawaii for the first time, I was like, we gotta enjoy this fast. Jump into the beach. And that was ridiculous. But I was like, we spent so much money to get here. We gotta enjoy this. So it's kind of a like exactly opposite idea of going to Hawaii and enjoying beach. But I had that like even during the vacation time. It was ridiculous. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. So hurrying, yeah, even at the vacation, it's like epidemic that we have. And so personally, the reason that I get to choose this topic or chapter in the book was, so I read this Don't Hurry, and it says it's one of the biggest reason we get angry. It was actually my story. Yeah. So, and my work, I don't know about other companies, but in my company, we have calendar default as like 30 minutes. Yeah. And then oftentimes my day is filled with maybe 10 to 12 meetings, like 30-minute cadence. And it's like basically all day meeting, right? And that is one thing, but what that puts me is like when I get into a meeting with someone, I have my agenda and I have to finish it within 30 minutes, right? Because I have next meeting waiting for me. I have to jump and it's hard to like get back to this topic later. And it feels like waste of time if I don't finish this agenda. But when I was going through this book, I had some like significant challenge with one of my colleague. When I talk to that person always goes to somewhere else. And like I'm like so frustrated. Like I need to finish this, my agenda. Like, and I try to keep pulling back that person. And then consistently, I was getting angry at the end of the meeting. Yeah. Because I couldn't get my work done. And that person has also like their own like issues with me, so they also get angry. So it was not like the way I wanted to collaborate or wanted to work together with the person. So I was like, what should I do here? And then when I read this book, I was like, oh, that's right. I'm rushing so much here. Like I just need more time to process these issues with this person. Like they have some issue, but I keep trying to speed through it and just like basically do what I say kind of mode. And of course, it's not going to work. So after I read this book, I have a post-it in front of my monitor. It says, don't hurry. So if I sense someone going like, oh, I disagree, like, or we should talk about something else, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's talk about it. And maybe we'll schedule another time to talk about what I wanted to talk about. So that eliminated a lot of stress and anger from collaboration with that person. So there was a lot of positive changes from there. So it's just one example at the work situation, but oftentimes, like I like going a little bit longer back in my relationship with my wife, I think I had similar challenges. Like I want to say what I want to say, but then she wants to talk about something else because she has her own things. Then like it doesn't go like the way I want it, and I'm like, like yeah. So it doesn't help us at all. Yeah. So what I realized is, oh, if someone else wants to talk about something else, I need to listen. Yeah, and then like go slow. So basically slow down. Yeah. Dallas Willard, very famous theologian, said we should ruthlessly eliminate. Yeah. So slow down, and we got a plan. Yeah. When we need to slow down, we should slow down. Yeah. That's how we get rid of stress. Next slide. And somewhat similar, but slightly different is controlling and downsizing our expectations. Yeah. So the book talks about like how when the person was in the author was in the grad school, like professor said to write down all your to-do list and then cut away half of it. Yeah. Because we usually expect so much more than we can possibly do. And then that usually leads to stress. Yeah. I completely see this at my work. Like I plan so much things, but can do only actually half is even a lot. Yeah. So we usually overestimate, optimistic, and try to plan and push a lot of things on ourselves. But that is the recipe for stress. Yeah. So that's that. And the third, it says to delegate or say no. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah. Yeah. So here are some specific suggestions how we can say no. Yeah. So maybe different persons have a different degree of difficulty with saying no. I know that my wife has a very difficult time saying no to someone, so she gets so stressed if she gets into such situation. But these are some tips. Yeah. So ask them to give time to think about it and don't necessarily over apologize. You cannot help when you cannot help. And don't say that, oh, I'm not good at it, so I cannot do it. Then that person will try to persuade you. No, you are good enough. Then you get to take the test. So don't get there. Yeah, just say no. Yeah. And be specific about what you can help and you cannot help. Draw the boundary so that there's clear expectation. and communicate simply. Yeah, don't have to like verbose explain like blah blah blah, but just say sorry, I cannot help with that. Next slide. Yeah, so above two that I discussed so far, don't hurry and downsize your expectation. It's more about managing those balls, if you remember, in the jar. Yes, try to make them fewer, smaller, so you don't overburden yourself. But then things do happen. Yeah, when they do happen, like we need to strengthen our resilience so that we can manage them, handle them, because life is hard sometimes. Yeah. So some of the tips in the book is taking care of ourselves. Yeah, proper sleep. Yeah, very basic, but also from the stats, like a lot of people don't get enough sleep. Yeah, which is very important. And exercise. Yeah, when there's a stress, I get surprised how powerful it is. Just even having a walk outside can refresh my mind and give a like strong new burst of energy to tackle the problems. And running, yeah, is even more helpful. And doing it in the nature, even more helpful, etc., etc. So do find your thing, and whatever it is, move your body and eat well, like nutritious meal. And also, if it's relevant to you, like avoiding substance, like it doesn't really help. And laugh more. Yeah, Bible also says like we should rejoice. Yeah, and it gives us strength. Cheerful heart is a good medicine. Yeah. So the way I learned from the Bible is we don't laugh because we are happy, but we are happy because we laugh. Yeah. So we take the faith and like, yeah, because God is my God, I can laugh and He gives me strength. Yeah. Next slide. Thank you. Um, and this is actually not in the book, but as I meditate through, I realize this is actually very important. Yeah, when stressful thing happens, we probably don't want to do our life alone. Yeah. Unfortunately, this seems to be the case a lot in the isolated society these days. A lot of people just try to handle it alone. Maybe a little more so for a man, like because I don't want to just share my problem. It feels weak. I'm talking about me. So it's a lot of a like vulnerable situation that I caused by just talking about my problem. But I learned this is so helpful. Yeah. So I'm going through some challenges at my work at the moment, which is a lot of anxiety causing issue at the moment. But what I learned is talking to my trusted friends and mentors has been huge help. Yeah. So there was a lot of I usually sleep pretty well, but in about a month ago, like there was some this like big stress. So I wake up at night and like my heart is just racing, and I'm like I cannot sleep for 1 hour. Yeah, it's so annoying. This has rarely happened in my life, but this was like a lot of like stress. So I went to talk to friends, and one particular day it was really helpful was so at my work there's a Christian fellowship group, and one very experienced person there is also very like loving and caring Christian person. So I talked to him and like, oh, he said, do you want to go run together? I'm like, yeah, we used to run together. So we went to run on Saturday morning. We run on the Quicksilver here. Yeah, so Hamadan. And for about 1 hour, just talk about life, and like he shares his encouragement and like keep a like larger view of the life. Like, yeah, this will go well. Like, you are going to be fine. Like, etc. etc. So after 1 hour run, like I feel like I'm a totally different person. Yeah, my anxiety is kind of gone, and like kind of like I'm heard and validated. So I get like, oh, I got energy to tackle this problem once again. So it was like God sent like help. Yeah. So I'm learning. Wow, like maybe God is putting me through harder challenges, and in this stage of life, what I need is really good godly people who can pray for me, give me wisdom and like encouragement, and like speak God's words to me. Yeah. So if you do have one, yeah, talk to them, use them. If you don't, look around. You are amongst really great people here. Yeah, it could be your fellow table, and also table leaders. Fine. So God is good. Already gave us a lot of blessing, but sometimes I've been missing them by just being lazy or shy. Yeah. So I strongly suggest talk to your friends or mentors. Yeah, and pray together. Yeah. So research says just talking about your stress reduces your cortisol, even before any solution you receive from them. But those people can give you, because they're not in the thick of it, they can share some fresh perspective. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. And they can give even advising guidances. Yeah. Next slide. This is the last slide. Yeah, I think. So these are the two things in one slide. So the first one is admitting your mistakes. This can be hard. Yeah, we are human. Yeah, so facing our imperfection can be really hard. Yeah, so that's why we avoid this. Try to make excuse and say like awful like excuses, but just to say that I'm wrong and just admitting has like a lot of solutions and the benefits there. And also it even attracts people. Like, yeah, it shows that we are actually strong. We are actually uh, bigger than this problem. So doing this to our loved ones and even our children, like when we made a mistake, say that and it helps. And I love this quote there. Yeah. Relationship is hard. So why get surprised when we make mistake? Just uh, apologize and save misery. And lastly, identify your triggers. This is actually very interesting one. I have some peculiar weaknesses. Like I realized about 10 years ago, when I'm hungry, I get easily annoyed. So I was so happy to hear like this new term about 5 years ago, hangry. Because that's me. So if you identify yourself there as well, yeah, it doesn't help when you're hungry. So after that, what I do is I'm hungry, then I eat some snacks because I always with my wife and family, like I can easily get exposed to angryable situation. So eat something, and I became a better person after that. Yeah, and another quite interesting anecdote is so Shana and I host our life group at our home every other week, and it's been a few years, 7 years, yeah, at the venture, yeah. So it's a really good gathering. Like we share a meal and like share life, and what we believe is that when we eat together, like people open their heart a lot more. So there's a lot of a connection. Some came to Christ as well. So there was very like grateful ministry. But one thing that was super annoying and also super challenging was after that great like 3 hour gathering, we say like lovely goodbye, good night, and then we do our dishes. And there was a like pretty predictable pattern over many weeks. We keep fighting over very petty things at like 10 p.m. Saturday night. Yeah. Yeah. So we were like, what is happening here? And after a few times, I realized, oh, we are just tired. So after that realization, what I started doing is just shut the mouth, do the dish. And if there's something that doesn't sound right to me, I'm like, it's okay. We'll just sleep and then talk about it tomorrow. Yeah. Because that's our weak spot where devil wants to just break the blessing that we just enjoyed and like make us think like this is like waste of time. Like why do we get like so tired of this gathering and etc. So we realized like when we were tired we were so vulnerable. So I don't know, maybe all of you are smarter than me, so already figured it out. But yeah, this also made me a better person. Yeah. So knowing such triggers can help us avoid it, right? Like eat snacks or just shut the mouth and don't get engaged in argument. Or second, uh, sometimes it's hard to control. Like something happened on us in a way that I'm really weak. But even being just aware of my weakness just allow me better handle that, even though it does happen upon me. So thinking through it and just having some equipped with such weakness, I think is very helpful. So with that, I think we are ready to conclude. Next slide. Thank you. So yeah, stress fuels, just to summarize, stress can fuel unnecessary anger. Yeah, so it is the key focus today to control it so that we are left with much fewer anger that we can properly process, give an energy to learn from it and uncover the primary emotion, etc., etc. So how do we do that? So to summarize, the first was change our perspective on the demands, either make it smaller or slow down, etc. And the last one is strengthening our resilience so that we get better equipped to handle whatever stress that happens on us. So that is the conclusion. And next slide, I'm going to leave you to your table with the 3 discussion questions. If the font is a little small, it's on the handout as well. Yes, so please have a time with the group. And we have until 1:10. Yeah, so I'll leave it to your group. Thank you.